The doors of the transport hissed open, and 41 alien delegations turned at once to see what Earth had brought. I stood there with my hand on a crate the size of a small room, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears, and every eye in that giant stone arena was fixed on me. There was no time to think, no time to prepare. This was it. My name is Grace Whitmore, and 3 weeks earlier I had been a quiet researcher working with reptiles in a swamp station back home. Then a letter arrived from the stars, asking Earth to send a representative creature to something called the Presentation of Apex, a tradition held once every 100 years, where every member world of the continuum brought their most impressive living creature. It was meant to show strength. It was meant to show what a planet had survived in order to build the people living on it now. The committee back on Earth wanted something with sharp teeth and a loud roar. They talked about bears and wolves and big cats. But I had spent years working beside something older and quieter than any of those animals, and when they finally asked me for my opinion, I gave it without hesitation. 3 weeks later, I was standing in a coliseum carved out of an asteroid, watching aliens from across the galaxy stare at my crate with confused expressions, because inside it was not a bear or a wolf. Inside it was a 19-foot saltwater crocodile named Bertha. The alien in front of me was tall, with feathers the color of a night sky, and sharp eyes that studied me the way a teacher studies a student who has clearly not done the homework. Her name was Ambassador Lyra Voss, and she had been assigned to guide Earth's delegation through the ceremony. "You brought a swimming lizard," she said, her voice flat with disappointment. "I brought something that has been surviving since before your planet had oceans," I answered, trying to sound braver than I felt. She looked at the crate again, unimpressed, then led me toward the arena floor, where the other creatures were already waiting in their enclosures. What I saw took the breath out of my lungs. One delegation had brought a creature the size of a small building, covered in thick fur, with tusks longer than my arm. Another had brought something sleek and fast, pacing back and forth with quills along its spine that looked as if they carried some kind of dangerous chemical. A tiny bird-like species had somehow brought a creature with 6 glowing eyes that let out a screech loud enough to make my teeth ache. Every single beast in that arena looked ready to prove something the moment the doors opened. And there, in the middle of it all, sat my crate, completely silent. Ambassador Voss glanced at me. "That is truly what your planet sends?" "That's what we send," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The ceremony went on for hours, moving through each species one at a time. I watched as the enormous furry beast from another world smashed straight through a thick metal barrier just to reach the other side, and the crowd cheered with excitement. I watched the sleek, quilled hunter bring down a fast-moving flying machine from high in the air with a single well-aimed strike. Every creature that entered that arena did something powerful, something the whole crowd could see and understand right away. By the time it was Earth's turn, I understood exactly what this ceremony really meant. It was not only about strength, it was about what each world chose to be proud of. Every species in that room was saying, "Look at what almost destroyed us, and look at what we became instead." The doors of my crate opened, and the arena went quiet in a strange, uncomfortable way, the kind of quiet that comes right before people start laughing. Bertha did not rush forward. She did not roar. For nearly a full minute, nothing happened. I heard soft sounds of confusion ripple through the crowd above me. Then, slowly, she walked out. Her steps were heavy and unhurried, her long tail dragging behind her through the sand. She moved toward the shallow pool that had been prepared for her, lowered herself into the water, and became perfectly still. "Is something wrong with it?" Ambassador Voss asked quietly. "She's just getting comfortable," I said. "Give her a moment." Every part of the ceremony included a live test, where each creature was released into a section of the arena with a fast-moving machine built to act like real prey. The huge furry beast had crushed its target within seconds. The quilled hunter had never let its target get more than a few steps away before catching it. They released Bertha's target about 30 feet from her pool. It moved quickly, darting side to side, built to avoid danger using clever patterns of movement. It circled the pool twice, confused by the total stillness, and slowly came closer to get a better look. I had already warned the arena staff that this moment would be different from anything they had seen that day. Some of them had looked at me like I was exaggerating. I watched delegates from 41 different worlds lean forward in their seats as the little machine crossed closer and closer to the water, 8 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet away. The moment happened faster than anyone could follow. There was no warning, no build-up, nothing for the machine's sensors to detect in time. Bertha rose out of the water in a single powerful motion, and the sound that followed rang out across the entire arena like thunder. She spun quickly in the water, and in only a few seconds, the fast-moving machine that had once dodged and darted with such confidence was completely still, caught firmly in her hold. Bertha floated calmly afterward, watching the crowd with the same patient expression she had worn from the very beginning, as if she had known exactly how this would end all along. Nobody in that arena was laughing anymore. The silence that followed was different from before. It was the silence of 41 species realizing they had misjudged something. I stood there, still shaking slightly from the tension of the moment, and felt something close to pride swell inside my chest. Later that evening, Ambassador Voss found me standing near a wide window that looked out over the endless dark of space. She was quiet for a long moment before she finally spoke. "Every other world showed us power," she said. "You showed us patience wearing power like a coat it never even needed to use. That is far more unsettling." I thought about how to explain it in a way she would understand. Bertha isn't even the fastest creature on our planet. She isn't the biggest, and she isn't the one most likely to chase after something. We chose her because animals like her have been surviving on Earth for over 200 million years, using the exact same simple method the whole time. She's outlasted disasters that wiped out almost everything else alive back then. She never needed to change her approach, because it already worked. Ambassador Voss studied me carefully, her feathers settling flat against her skin. "The Council will want a full report on what this means for Earth, strategically speaking." I looked out at the stars scattered across the black sky and thought about the crate, the long stretch of silence, and the single decisive moment that followed it. "It means we know how to wait," I said. "You should probably remember that." She gave a small nod, something that might have been respect, though it was hard to read on an alien face. Then she turned and walked away, leaving me alone with the view of space and the quiet hum of the station around me. Down on the arena floor below, workers were finishing their cleanup, resetting the sand for tomorrow's events. I could just barely make out Bertha's shape resting near the edge of her pool, completely relaxed, as if the biggest event of the century had been nothing more than an ordinary afternoon nap. Walking back through the halls of the station, I passed groups of delegates from different worlds, all of them speaking quietly among themselves, glancing my way as I passed. A few of them nodded at me with something like new respect. One young alien, barely taller than my waist, looked at me with wide, curious eyes, and asked through a small translator device strapped to its chest whether all creatures from Earth were like Bertha. I smiled and told the truth. Not all of them. But enough of them, in one way or another, carried that same quiet patience inside them, waiting for the right moment. As I reached my quarters for the night, I thought about the letter that had started this entire journey, the request to bring something that would make the continuum remember Earth's name. I thought about the committee back home who had wanted something loud and obvious, something built purely to frighten, and I thought about how glad I was that they had trusted me instead, letting me choose something that told a deeper story. Earth had not sent its fastest creature, or its strongest, or its loudest. We had sent something ancient, something that had already survived nearly everything the universe could throw at it, long before any of us existed to watch, and in a room full of monsters built for noise and speed, that quiet, patient creature had said more about our planet than anything else possibly could have. I lay back and closed my eyes, letting the tension of the day finally drain out of my shoulders, already wondering what stories future generations would tell about the day a swimming lizard silenced an entire galaxy of watching eyes.